Shalom, shalom, assalamu alaikum, osio, hola, aloha. This is your brother Zach Bay, Indigenous American Moor, Ananawea, Cherokee. Shout out, tribe. Thank you for joining me. Go ahead and give that thumbs up, like, share, subscribe to my channel if you want to be notified when I drop content every Sunday or Monday. Please hit that notification bell so you can be notified. Leave a comment, interact. Thank you. I do not own the rights to this music, but I hope you enjoy. This is one of my favorite tracks. I want to start this session by saying intelligent response or emotional response, light side of the force or the dark side of the force, your higher self or your lower self, good and bad, or good and evil. I want to start with a story, indigenous tale, philosophy passed down from father to son. A father is teaching his son about a good wolf and a bad wolf inside each and every one of us. There's a constant struggle between those wolves. The son asks the father, well, which wolf will win? The father replies, the wolf that you feed the most. Mind you, it's a good wolf and a bad wolf. Whichever wolf you feed more with good deeds and actions or bad deeds and actions, that's the wolf that will win the struggle within you. Higher self and lower self, the best version of you versus a lesser version of you. Or the light side of the force versus the dark side of the force. A little bit of Jedi wisdom. Overcome your emotions because your emotions are a path to the dark side. You want to have and train yourself in your mind to have an intelligent response to any situation, circumstance, adversity, obstacle, task that you take on or that comes within your path in life over an emotional response. You don't want to respond emotionally to everything, to anything. You want to have an intelligent response. Use your mind, because that is your greatest weapon. Slay, you must use the sword of knowledge to slay the daemon of fear. Now, fear is an emotion that leads to the dark side, that leads to negativity, that leads to your lower self. The fear of lack, the fear of loss, the fear of somebody doing something to you or your family, it all leads to the dark side. It's an emotional response that takes hold of you, control of you, and you are not in your higher self. You are not responding intelligently. Now, each and every one of us must work and strive and conquer our lower self, conquer our darker half, in order for us to live and operate in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Those divine principles, those laws we must live by. Now, in the Star Wars universe, there's a struggle between the good side of the Force, the light side of the Force, and the dark side of the Force. The good side of the Force wielders or the light side of the Force wielders are the Jedi, and the dark side of the Force or the bad side of the Force wielders are the Sith. Each one must exist for the other to exist. There's always a good and a bad. There's two sides to every coin. There's a higher self and a lower self inside each and every one of us, a good wolf and a bad wolf inside each and every one of us. And that struggle takes place each and every day in the microcosm within ourselves, in the macrocosm outside in the greater universe, in the cosmos. Sometimes the struggle can be seen with our naked eye, other times it cannot be seen. But this struggle is constantly being waged. These battles are always being fought inside each and every one of us, each and every day. You don't know what struggle somebody is having with inside of their mind, inside of their heart, inside of their soul. But it is our responsibility, each and every one of us, people, individuals, light beings, to strive in the light, to move toward the righteous path, to operate in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So we must study, we must train ourselves, we must train our minds, we must resonate love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, so we have intellectual responses to any obstacle that comes in our path, in our way, so we can strike down and slay the demon of fear with knowledge of self, with knowledge of the divine, with the knowledge of righteousness. Now, when I say use the sword of knowledge, this sword is wielded by each and every one of us. This sword is righteous actions, righteous deeds, righteous words. We can sharpen this blade or we can dull this blade. We sharpen this blade by eating clean, by exercising, by reading and writing, by operating in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You can dull this blade by eating unclean, by not exercising, being lazy, by not operating in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, by operating in fear, by operating in lack, operating in scarcity. Each and every one of us have something that we fear. You might fear losing someone close to you. You might fear losing material wealth or material possessions. Those are attachments. Those all lead to the dark side. Those all lead to your lower self. Having those fears, fear of losing someone, fear of losing something, fear of somebody doing something to you, those lead to the dark side. Those lead to you operating in a lower version of yourself. Those lead to you operating in a lesser vibration. Those lead to you operating in lower frequencies. We must all strive each and every day to operate on a higher frequency, to operate on a higher vibration, to resonate higher vibrations. We must operate in light. We must operate in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice each and every day. This struggle is always being waged. It's always being fought. When you feel it, even when you don't feel it. If you see it, even if you don't see it. These forces, the light side of the force and the dark side of the force in the Star Wars universe, are forces that allow these beings to move things, objects with their mind, to manifest things, to interact with people on a conscious or emotional level. And dark wielders can manipulate those emotions by placing fear inside someone, by placing desire for power inside of someone, and they manipulate the weaker part of you in order for you to fall to the dark side. It is not easy to stay on the path of righteousness. It is not easy to always operate in light. You know, we all have people we care about. We all have things that we care about. We all have things we like doing. We all have things we dislike doing. But it is up to each and every one of us, each and every day, each and every second, each and every hour, each and every minute, to operate in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, to operate in light, to operate in life, not in death, not in scarcity, not in lack, not in fear. Most likely, this fear comes from a lack of understanding, a lack of overstanding, a lack of understanding. When it's something that you fear, you must do your best to learn about it. You use your knowledge, you use your intellect to learn about your fears. Because if you know those fears, if you learn about those fears, what you do fear, what you don't fear, what you're afraid of losing, what you're afraid of missing out on, the judgment you're afraid of facing, you gain a greater understanding. You gain a greater overstanding and understanding, and therefore it leads you to raise your vibration, to rise to a higher calling, to walk on a higher path. It allows you to operate in light. It allows you to wield those powers and those forces and not fall victim or be susceptible to fears, to not be susceptible to emotional responses. Like I said, each and every day, all the tasks, all the obstacles in our path, we choose to give an intellectual response, an intelligent response, or an emotional response. Those emotional responses could be anger, it could be fear, and those make you fall to the dark side, your lower self. We must sharpen our mind, because your mind is your greatest weapon. Our minds are our greatest weapon. It is our greatest tool. Our mind can also be our greatest enemy, our greatest adversary, our greatest obstacle. That's why we must train ourselves. We must focus. We must study. We must read and write in order to sharpen your mind. You eat clean. You read and write each and every day. You drink water. You get plenty of exercise. Eat electric foods to sharpen your mind, because it is your greatest weapon, indeed. But if you fall victim, if you're not strong enough to discipline yourself, you eat unclean, you don't exercise, you be lazy, you don't read and write, you don't study, you're more likely to fall victim to the dark side. You're more likely to fall victim and your mind will be dull. That's why the term, oh, that is a dull person. They're dull. They're not sharp. They're not witty. They don't use their wits. Their light is dim. The light within you is dim when you're dull. We must strive each and every day, every second, every minute, every hour, to keep our minds sharp, to operate in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Use our wisdom, use our divine discernment to operate on the light side of the force. We must gain an understanding of our fears. We must gain an understanding of what we're afraid to lose. We must gain an understanding of what we are not able or willing to sacrifice. Having knowledge of oneself will allow you to move in a higher plane, on a higher plane, to operate on a higher frequency, to operate on a higher vibration. We must overcome the bad wolf within ourselves. We must overcome our lower self. We must operate on the light side of the force. And be a wielder of those powers and all of those gifts and abilities. Using the dark side of the force may seem powerful. Submitting to your emotions, to your fears, might give you power. It might seem like it gives you power. It might seem like it's more powerful than being patient, to being well studied, to being well read. But it is not more powerful. It is only easier. Submitting and subjecting yourselves to those lower forces are only easier. It's, it's not more powerful. It may take longer for you to learn how to operate on the light side of the force. But anything that's worth having takes a long time. It takes time. Anything that's easy comes fast.
Get cash back at thousands of stores.
I want to end this session with a quote. If you can accomplish your dreams within your lifetime, you are dreaming too small. Peace. This is your brother Zach Bay. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you.